So YouTube is for sure gonna 18 up this video because I put blunt in the name, but oh well. There's really no other way of saying it. It was either gonna be weed or blunt, and YouTube is gonna 18 it up either way. And only 18 and up people should probably listen to the story anyway. But this story was actually in high school. Was I in high school? Either high school or like the summer after high school, like the summer right before college after high school. So I went to this house party, and before I went to the house party, I dropped off my cousin to actually babysit my other cousin. So I dropped them off, and then I tried to get to this party because the way it works with my parents is you'd have to say you're in one place, and my sister and I had to say we're in the same place so we could split up later and do all these other games that you do when you're younger and you're trying to hide from your parents. So I go to this party, and at this party, I think I don't usually not have weed, but at this time, I was probably really early into smoking too. Really, I mean, this is probably one of like the first 20 times in my life I've smoked. So I'm at this party, I'm hanging out with friends, I'm drinking also early into my drinking career. Like the first times I had drank probably in my life. So at a party, I remember we were getting lit. I remember one person, we were upstairs at this girl's house. And it's a nice house, but this guy, he just backed up and just broke her window, like out the top floor of her house, just backed his butt and back into the window. He just fell kind of through the window, just broke the window back out the other side. And so, like, that kind of tells you because we were drinking like all these mixed drinks, nobody's kind of weighed out anything. Nobody, I mean, in terms of shots, don't mean shots, drinks don't mean drinks. It doesn't matter what you're drinking. And so also simultaneously, there's a lot of blunts going in rotation because at this time, this had to have been my summer after high school, summer going into freshman year of college, coming back home from freshman year of college, something like that. So I'm getting into the blunt rotation. I might have had one, but at this time, like I said, I was early into smoking, so I might not have had any at this time. I can't remember that exactly, but essentially in the rotation, I smoke with some friends. All right, cool. Then I go into another room, and these guys like, "Hey, you trying to smoke with us?" And I'm like, "Bet." And so I proceed to smoke with them. We sit in a circle, it's like three or four of us, and we pass these couple blunts in rotation. And then at this time, I've probably been there like 45, 50 minutes. And this is how my college, no, my like high school to like early college, if I was at home with my parents, situation was like I only got to stay out like a few hours usually because I was lying about where I was. And so because I was lying about where I was, I had to leave probably like 40, 50 minutes into the party after I had just drank a little bit, which not a lot, not too much to where I couldn't drive because I knew I was gonna have to leave early. But then I had smoked like probably with like three or four different blunts, and this is all pre-vid and everything, so people aren't people aren't tripping as much about sharing weed. But after this, as I'm driving home to go pick up my cousin, because my cousin's staying with us after he babysits my cousin, my other cousin. So I pick him up, and as I'm driving home, I start to like, it starts to get like blurry and kind of like now looking back, it's like a blackout type of feeling. It was like a real like blackout type of feeling. And so I'm starting to like doze off while I drive. I don't know what this feeling is because it's really now looking back, of course, it was of a drug I was not familiar with at all at the time. And so I'm driving back, and then that night, my cousin and I we snuck out the window of the room they were staying in, and we smoked a little bit before we went to sleep. But as we snuck back in, I was like falling asleep as we were going into the window. And it felt like I was asleep all through that. Like it was like a whole blackout experience. And it wasn't anything like any type of weed I had ever experienced before. That's for sure. So the next morning, I actually, yeah, that's what it was. The next morning, I had to fly back to college because I was on some type of break. And so I'm going to the airport. My cousin's going to college to another school. That's why they were staying with me. And I'm going to another another school in a whole nother state. And we're at the airport, and I fall asleep at the airport because of what we had been smoking the night before. And I was like, what the hell? Like I was tired now, going on like 15, 16 hours, just exhausted for no reason. So I'm just like thinking back, like, what did I have? What could make me feel this tired? I've never had weed this strong before. And then I hit up one of the friends I've been smoking with, and I was like, did you put something in that? And because usually when you ask that, sometimes you look like a novice or whatever. If you want to use the word novice, you look like somebody young that just hasn't smoked before. So it's a little bit of an embarrassing question to ask. But essentially, I was just like, did you put something in there? And then this was over Snapchat, and I get a snap back that says only in the H. And this was my friend that I knew was like sipping some. And so, yeah, that was my first time really, I realized at that point, smoking lean. He had laced lined the blunt with lean. And for in college, I tried it a few times and I liked it okay. But to not know that it had happened, and I don't really blame him too much because it was kind of like a rotation and stuff like that. He shouldn't have put in a rotation, so I do blame him for that. But at the same time, I was knocked out. And like I said, I fell asleep at the airport. Luckily, I had beats on and I had like one off like this, just like dozing off in the chair. And I heard like last call and I got up and sprinted onto my flight, slept through the flight, got to my room. I don't remember. I was in school in Ohio, so had to trek from West Virginia to Ohio to get to school. Slept a whole nother day after that, and I didn't try lean again for probably like 2 more years. That shit was insane for the first time because I don't even really take medicine if I'm sick. So my body tolerance to that type of like codeine, promethazine, and especially smoking it, it fucked me up. It fucked me up. And it, to be honest, I mean, it's some hoe shit to do simply because I had to drive home. And that's really the worst part, that it was not a safe drive home, but at the same time, it was an extremely crazy experience, to say the least. And if you're going to do that to somebody, just make sure at least they're not driving. Don't do it to anybody. It's illegal, actually. It's for sure illegal. That's why I'm not using any names. I'm not, because I don't have any type of malice to the ill will towards this person. But at the same time, I was fucked up for about 72 hours after that. And it kind of made me realize like how strong of a drug lean is for it to be a legal drug. Like shit. To answer your question, GTP, um, we're gonna try some Delta 10. A lot of times, like, Sergio kind of said it yesterday. A lot of times I don't like to be the test dummy for a lot of this stuff, like too much of the early stuff for real. Because like if you looked at the CBD market when CBD first came on the market, it was like trash. Now all the flower we get to review is like indoor stuff. So but yeah, guys, I really wouldn't suggest smoking lean. It's probably horrible for your health. Um, it definitely made my head super cloudy. But that was the first and I think only time I've really had some late shit that I did not know about, or like some unknown drug entering my system. That's really the only story that I have that I can think of. Luckily, because typically when people have a lot of stories like that, they're pretty sad stories. It's not really a story that they would want to tell, or like all in all, almost just missed a flight. That was really the only downside. Like once I got back to school, you could sleep in college all the time. Like it doesn't matter anyway. Like it's not like I was paying attention in class anyway. And luckily, that party I had gone to was around the corner from my house. Like that drive home was like to pick up my cousin plus to go home was like a 7 minute, 8 minute drive. So it was like nothing. So if I had to have left the neighborhood, it actually could have been a completely different story. Completely different. Appreciate the guy, people who did listen to this. I'm sure most people that will have watched this watch it in post. I really just was chilling here at the desk, had the mic here actually doing something, and I was like, and I remember that story just sitting here smoking, and I was like, fuck it, I'll get on here and tell the story. Appreciate it, guys.